Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome into a brand new live edition of Talking Ball. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you here this morning on a Friday morning. Welcome into the show. We've made it through the end of the work week. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff in store for you on this Friday morning. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can be a part of the show on said Friday morning. And I got a lot of stuff to get to. The Atlanta Braves back in action yesterday. College football again. We're going to go over some college football talk. Reese Davis weighs in on the college football scheduling. You know how this 8-game, 9-game crap is still going on between everyone. And Reese Davis kind of weighs in on that. We will get his opinions there. College World Series getting ready to get underway in Omaha. We'll talk a little bit of that. But yesterday we had the U.S. Open, the 123rd U.S. Open getting underway from the L.A. Country Club. And it was the one thing that we've talked about when it comes to the U.S. Open is it was at the L.A. Country Club. And what kind of course would it be? How would it play? It was going to be prime time golf. And in the end, we had what was a record-breaking day. The field enjoyed historically low scores, an average of 71.38. It was the lowest in opening round play in U.S. Open history, third lowest in any U.S. Open round overall. 6 players carded scores of 65 or better, 2 more than any other single round in the history of the championship. Not one player shot 80 or higher, which is the first time that has ever happened in rounds 1 or 2 at the U.S. Open. In the end, Ricky Fowler, Xander Schauffele, 62s, 8 under. They lead after round 1. Now think about this. From 1895 through 2022, more than 47,000 rounds were played in the U.S. Open. Not once did a player record a 62 or better in that span. 20 minutes on Thursday, it happened twice. So in the golf world, that was a good day for those guys on the course.
Yeah, it was an offensive day, no question about it. And we're going to hear from Charlie Plott at 7:30 and get his thoughts on it. And, we were out there at Cherokee Ridge yesterday for the zone deal. It sold out in 25 minutes. And, Pete Sands was on with us. And I know he picked, the Brooks Koepka to win it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and if these conditions continue, because usually with the USGA, the conditions are some of the toughest of all the majors. So it being like that offensive and nobody even shooting in the 80s is really, really unusual.
All right, Ricky Fowler yesterday, how about his 10-birdie day? He tied Justin Thomas's record for most birdies or better in a single U.S. Open round. Finished with the 62, the first 62. That came in at 12:17 our time. And then, of course, you get Xander Schauffele, who did it as well. He went bogey-free, shot a 62 as well.
Xander's always one of Charlie's favorites. I'll be interested to hear his thoughts on Xander. I mean, he's always one of these guys that people have on the list, I guess, the best to never win a major. So maybe this is his week. We'll see.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can be a part of the show this morning. We want you to be a part of it as we get through this Friday. Now, one of the things that we have been talking a lot about is the college football schedules and everything. And and how it's going to play out this year, though, with the College Football Playoff Committee. Because everybody says, well, everyone's going to remain at their normal schedules and everything this year. Next year, then in 2024, we go to some teams playing 9, some playing 8 conference games. So what is it going to do to the committee? How are they going to look at it from year to year? Are they going to look at it and treat it like this year? Are they going to treat it like, how are they going to look at it? And Reese Davis, who has an ESPN College Game Day podcast with Pete Thamel,
yep,
weighed in on that question. And Reese Davis gave an interesting response.
The exception I take and took just before we started is when this notion, and maybe it's just a vernacular that bothers me, but the exception I take is when people say, well, the committee has to send a message. No, they don't. That's not their job. Their job is to evaluate. Now, within that context of evaluation, if the strength of schedule is deemed insufficient, then that's a marker against you, and it hurts your overall body of work. Just because you play X number of games against Power 5 opponents or X number of conference games, well, that's not created equal. It never will be. You never know from year to year what is the most difficult thing to do. Take, for instance, for most of the prior to last year, the previous 15 years, Alabama played Tennessee, and that was no big deal. A couple of close games in there. Now it seems like a big deal. And the reverse was true. When Philip Fulmer and Peyton Manning, T. Martin, when they really had it going at Tennessee, they had to play Alabama every year, and that was no big deal for many of those years, simply because Alabama was down. These things go in a cyclical fashion. And in most cases, not all of them, but in most cases, you get a lot more breathers depending on your Big Ten schedule than you do in the SEC. Now, can you get some in the SEC? 1,000%, no doubt about it. You know, you draw certain teams annually, and then maybe you hit on another one that's down. You're going to get some breathers, and it's going to be the same.
Look at Georgia's schedule this year.
Right, exactly. And that's why I'm against this idea of, well, they have to send a message if they don't play X number of conference games. No. You evaluate their schedule, make a judgment based on that team and what they did and how they looked, and use your football judgment. And if we can't do that, and you've got to send some kind of message, then just put a formula together.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, because you never know year to year how good a team's going to be, because I bring up 2017 Alabama, Florida State, when Dirt Neck ran the thing into the ground completely. It was being hyped as the greatest opening round game, or season opening game ever in history. 2 top 5 teams, 2 teams that could be in the playoff at the end of the year, could have a rematch. And Alabama smoked Florida State in the second half. And we know DeAndre Francois got injured, and Florida State kind of went in the tank from that point forward. And by the middle of the season, some of the same media morons who were saying it was the greatest game ever were saying Alabama shouldn't get much credit for beating Florida State, because Florida State's not any good. They're not as good as we thought. So they try to change the narrative mid-season. And so you can't really do that. Like last year, it would have been the exact opposite with Tennessee, because everybody thought Tennessee was going to be, maybe a 7-5, 8-4 team, and they were heavily in the mix for the college football playoff, by the end of the season. I mean, if they hadn't lost to South Kakalaki, on the road, and then, and suffered the injury at the quarterback position, then I think, they're going to be they would have been in the Final Four. I think everybody understands that.
Right.
So, you have to evaluate it on a year-to-year basis, and some teams come out of nowhere and have a great year. Hey, I'll give you another example. TCU, who played for the national championship, they were picked 7th in the Big 12. They weren't supposed to go undefeated or reach the Big 12 championship game, and then have a Heisman candidate quarterback who had already lost the job in the preseason. I mean, if you just evaluated that, then TCU had no chance, and so they ended up reaching the national championship game. So, and then the last 2 years, Michigan has made the playoff and lost. But they had lost 15 in a row to Ohio State. I mean, there was nobody picking them in Harbaugh. They were trying to fire Harbaugh 2 years ago. It's because they cut his salary in half. So you just
ebbs and flows that Reese was talking about. Sometimes you're going to get a team on the downside. Sometimes you're going to get them on the upside. You can't predict that.
Well, I mean, for example, Brian Kelly and LSU. That's another good one.
Right.
They were predicted to be about a 500 team, maybe 7-5 at best. And they ended up winning the West. Now it's completely changed, and Brian Kelly's got voodoo on Nick Saban, and LSU's the best team in the West, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. You know, when Brian Kelly couldn't touch Nick Saban when he was at the most overrated university in the history of man. So we'll see. I mean, you know, maybe LSU has turned the corner, and they've got the advantage in the series. I mean, certainly LSU thought they had the voodoo after 2019 till Yah ran his mouth and then got himself and the university flattened.
So do we look at Georgia's schedule this year and take into what Reese just said and say, well, maybe it's not as easy as we think?
I don't know. That's a great question. You know, I mean, we'll see.
We're sitting here saying, "Oh, Georgia's just going to cakewalk through everything."
I guess it's really going to be honest with you. It's going to depend on how good teams like Tennessee and even South Carolina are. Because South Carolina, they did lose the bowl game to Notre Dame, but they beat Clemson, they beat Tennessee. Have they turned a corner? Are they much more competitive than you think? And then remember that Georgia had trouble with Missouri. That was maybe their closest call last year at Mizzou, where they struggled and had to turn it on in the second half and put it away. So, is there a game out there where they're not going to take a team as seriously and, could get snuck up on? You don't know. I mean, so that to me might be South Carolina, potentially. I don't know. South Carolina has given Georgia some problems in the past. But again, and is Tennessee truly turned the corner under Josh Heupel now that they're going to be the hunted, because they came out of nowhere to be a contender last year, but now everybody's pointing to them. Are they ready to be back among the elite? If they're ready to be back among the elite, they get Georgia at home. And so that would be probably Georgia's toughest game. But again, you have to wait and see. You have to wait and see if Georgia actually plugs these holes. They should. They've recruited at a very high level. I mean, it's kind of funny, though.
They're breaking in a new quarterback.
They're breaking in a new quarterback, just like Alabama. They lost receivers to the transfer portal. They do have Brock Bowers, but they
lose some defensive guys.
They lost an underrated running back, and yet everybody's, unlike Alabama, the national media is saying, well, has Alabama really got a quarterback? Can Alabama plug their holes? And then they're like, well, Georgia's, they're plugging their holes, whatever. They got an easy schedule. They're going to waltz to the national championship. So that's basically what they're saying. So we'll see, and they may be right. I do agree that Georgia should be favored in every game, and I mean they do have the kind of roster that they've recruited where they should be able to plug these holes, and we'll see.
Let's go to the phone lines. Arthur with us first this morning. Good morning, Arthur.
Hey, Arthur.
Good morning, guys. Hey, listen, sorry I hadn't called in a while, but
yes, sir.
My wife's been very sick in the nursing home. But I have been listening to you guys. I just want to let you know that.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it, Arthur.
Really
and prayers to you. Yep.
Hey, prayers for Louise. That's her name. But anyway, what I was going to tell you, Drew, is my favorite game, and I went to Tuscaloosa to see this past year, was the Georgia game where we won in basketball against them for 50 points.
Right.
Was my. That's the only basketball game I went to all year. But I've been to 6 football games in the last 2 years, and I really enjoyed myself over at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever been to that game.
Yeah, I went back in 2017 for a classic one, but it's going to be really weird in 2024 when they're not playing Mississippi State or Ole Miss.
I noticed that, either them or Ole Miss. That's going to be weird.
Right.
Because I can remember some great games in Jackson that I used to go to see against Ole Miss. I mean, they were just, as you know, probably some of the best games I ever saw. But anyway, I just wanted to call you and let y'all know that I've still been listening.
Thank you, sir.
And appreciate your prayers. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Arthur. Yep. Yeah, prayers to Louise. All right, let's go to Jeff in the Borough real fast before the break. Good morning, Jeff.
How you doing, guys?
Good.
How are you doing?
I just wanted to say I was trying to find some stuff on Max Preps. I told you about the Max Preps Cup earlier.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find by state. I couldn't find it, but I did find the national, the top 25 one school from Alabama was in the top 25. You guess who it is?
Are you talking about for overall athletics or what?
Yeah, it's over top 25 in the country.
I would say Hoover.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Number 11.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Number 11 in the country. Number 11.
Yeah.
Number one school was Bentonville, Arkansas.
Oh, interesting.
Bentonville, Arkansas was number. I think the other school was, I want to say California. There's a school in Hawaii in top 25, but yeah, Hoover was, they were number 11 in the whole final. I think they had like 1,900, and I want to say 3 or 4, and then the next school behind them was like 1902 or something. I mean, because they do it by how many state championships you win and runner-up, and they do it all these different other things, national ranks and stuff like that. So, but yeah, they finished number 11 in the final Max Preps Cup, the standings, and all schools all over the country, all over the United States. So, but and I did want to say two guys. If these universities would be good stewards of the money they have now, we wouldn't be in this problem of 8 or 9 conference games or in any sport, or we got to play an extra because of money. As I looked up, there was a story I saw yesterday where they had like expenses and revenues. And Ohio State was number 1. It's like over 220 something million. And I saw Kentucky was like 159, 153. Some schools lost money, some schools broke even, but I think most of them made money, not very much. Yeah. But if they would be stewards of the money they have now, we wouldn't be in this problem of finance and what we're going to do with money and all this kind of stuff. And fans can do what they want, but I don't care what sport it is. That's just the way I say it. I don't know how you guys see that, but I'll just hang out and listen. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll get into this college money because they released numbers. USA Today put everything out of which college is actually making money. You'll be surprised. It sounds like a lot of money, but there's very few schools across the country.
It goes back to what Nick Saban said, because even the schools that are making money, quote unquote, they're putting it back into the universities. Reinvesting into both the academic and athletic side. Every penny they make, just about, they're spending, and it goes back toward NIL too, because not from the university revenue, so to speak, even though some of that can be from a university collective. But I'm just saying, investing in the athlete, like cost of attendance and all that other stuff. So they're spending big money, especially at Division I, Power 5 type schools, on the student athlete. Now, not every school, not Division II schools, stuff like that. But I'm just talking about when you're talking about the Power 5 and the ones that have the biggest spotlight on them.
We'll go through some of those numbers here as the show kind of works along. Let's get our first break in of the morning. When we come back, phone line still open to you, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And a report of a wreck on 565 eastbound at County Line. Looking at the eastbound side, everything seems to be moving okay. Looking at westbound, though, everything's moving to the right lane. Looks like we've got wrecked vehicles in the left lane there just before you take the exit ramp for County Line. Got some fog to deal with this morning. If you got a long way to go, I think that fog's definitely going to be a slowdown for you. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Cheeseburger Bobby's on Carl T. Jones Drive in Huntsville is the perfect place to celebrate Father's Day this year. Featuring classic hamburgers and cheeseburgers with lots of specialty options, chicken and hot dogs, even turkey burgers and veggie burgers, along with fresh cut fries, onion rings, or coleslaw. Always fresh, never frozen, except for the frozen custard. This week, our zone deal is $50 worth of Cheeseburger Bobby's for half price, just $25. Get yours Friday at 97.7ESPN.com.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
No one knows your Ford better than our factory-trained, certified technicians, and that's a fact. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, letting you know about a one-time service promotion good through June 30th only. Starting at just $79.95 when you get the Works package for your vehicle. You buy the first one, the second one is on us. The Works package includes a synthetic blend oil change, tire rotation, vehicle checkup, and more. You buy the first one, the next one is on us, but only through June 30th. Schedule online today and come in to Woody Anderson Ford.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. We are talking about the potential for some isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms across North Alabama, southern and middle Tennessee. But not everybody's going to get wet. We are going to get to enjoy significant periods of dry time. We drop into the mid 60s as we head into the overnight, early into your Saturday morning. Overall, the front half of the weekend actually looks quite nice. A mostly to partly sunny sky. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. Rain chances are going to be minimal at best, but better opportunities for rain build into the Tennessee Valley as we head into your Father's Day. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back to Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond hanging out with you for another hour and a half or so. I'm going to be with you till 9, 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the program, be a part of the show. And coming up later today, in fact, you can enjoy some Friday afternoon viewing.
Yep.
The College World Series is going to get underway from Omaha, 1 o'clock. Oral Roberts, TCU, 6 o'clock. Virginia, Florida, going to get underway from the College World Series. And tomorrow, you're going to get the same thing, 1 o'clock. Wake Forest, Stanford, 6 o'clock. LSU, Tennessee, ongoing from... They're in Omaha.
Yep, the TV Ameritrade, isn't that what it's still called?
No,
or they
Charles
changed
Schwab. Remember, it's Charles Schwab.
They changed the sponsor again. I couldn't remember. I just I know when it first opened, it was called TV Ameritrade. When they changed the sponsors,
it just traded a couple years ago.
Yeah, some sponsor spent enough money to change the name on it, but. I was, Ben McDonald was on. I guess he's going to be part of the broadcast crew that'll be bringing you teams, and he was watching some of the warm ups because they all have, those 1 hour practices or whatever for the media where they have media availability, and so it'll get started today at 1 o'clock. Hopefully they'll have good weather out there, and again, prayers to the folks in Texas. I know they got smacked pretty good by some tornadic weather yesterday, so. Hopefully the weather will be good in Omaha, no question about it.
Well, the Rocco's Jello Shot Challenge is underway in Omaha.
Oh, yeah.
Well. You remember this?
Yeah, that's the one where Mississippi State and Ole Miss breaking records back-to-back year.
Yep. They shattered them last year. Well, when you were gone, when Steve was in here, we kind of put our thoughts out there on who would win, and I said I had zero faith in Oral Roberts. Something just screamed to me that a lot of people from Oral Roberts was going to come and win the Jello Shot Challenge. They're not winning. Can you guess which team, by the way?
LSU.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
The LSU fan base, after yesterday, it got underway yesterday, I believe, was the first day for it.
They start keeping a tally.
They start keeping a tally. LSU is up to 282 Jello shots after the first day.
How many hours? Good Lord. 282.
282. So you go into Rocco's, you order them, and you get them in your team colors. Okay,
okay.
So that's how it is. And then
like purple or gold or both. Or...
And so then all the proceeds from these go to charity. So it started a couple years ago. It's really gotten popular now. And LSU is leading the way with 282 Jell-O shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have 282. You know who's in second place? Oral Roberts.
So they did hear you.
129.
Oh, well, you know.
And then TCU.
TCU.
Or Wofford, or whoever they want to be today.
I mean, I'm just calling them Wofford in football, but I mean, you know.
Okay. They get 100.
I mean, they had a great year, but I mean, they looked like Wofford when they got to the national championship game. I mean, they got flattened.
They have 105 Jell-O shots.
I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, they beat Michigan fair and square and straight up. I'm just saying, by the time they got to the national championship game, it was so boring. Unless you were a Georgia fan, you basically turned the channel.
That is true. Virginia is holding up the bottom end of this with only 29.
Well, you know, they're highfalutin. They're highfalutin. They're probably going to the steakhouses and stuff, Scott. They're probably staying out of the bars, man.
They're taking the educational Omaha tour.
Yeah, there you go. And then they're having asparagus and
they're going to the museums
and the filet mignon and
they're not going for the pork tenderloin Jell-O shot French fry combination.
No, they're not. They're going for the 3 and the 4 course meals, Scott.
Yeah, they're going to Chipotle and having a burrito and a salad.
Well, I don't even know. I think it'll be a little bit more high end than that for these Virginia folks. But I mean,
wow.
I mean, it's one of the best, educational institutions in the country, and
it is.
And I don't know. There's a few of them partying probably, but
Wake Forest, Tennessee, and Florida, they're near the end as well. Tennessee's only at 65, Florida's at 69. So, but LSU holding. LSU is holding on to the mantra and the flag. If you're gonna put one school there, LSU is the school to put there. They should threaten all of the records, I would think.
If they make a run, I mean, because that's how Ole Miss and Mississippi State set these records.
They stayed there longer. So is LSU and Paul Skeens? Would you say,
Okay, let's put it this way. If Paul Skeens pitches a second time in Omaha, they're probably going to shatter the record.
Okay, so do they get by Tennessee then tomorrow, you think?
I certainly hope so.
You think so?
I mean, I think Paul Skeens, they certainly, beat Tennessee 2 out of 3 earlier in the season. So, but again, both teams have changed a lot. I mean, Tennessee, their first half of the season was not good, like Auburn, like Alabama, like a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And as I said, and we're going to talk to Mark Etheridge later in the show about this, this was the preseason, quote unquote, 1 and 2 teams in the country.
Tennessee and LSU.
LSU was 1. And Tennessee was 2. Both of them were very aggressive in the transfer portal. And LSU got off to a great start. Now, had a rough patch about halfway through the season with their pitching, but got everything back aligned and has always basically been a national seed and been in contention and been expected to be in Omaha. Now, Tennessee was turned into a dark horse because they didn't have a great first part of the regular season in the Southeastern Conference. Now, the second half of the year was good, but then they went to sleep again and lost in the first round of the SEC tournament at Hoover, which cost them a host. But I did say they were a dangerous 2 seed. They certainly were. They came out of Clemson and won that. Then they went to Pete Taylor Park in an emotional, scene where Scott Berry was going to retire.
Right.
And lost the first friggin' game, was down 4-0 in game 2, and then came back and won. So that shows you how college baseball is. What a run. They shut out Southern Mississippi for the last game and a half. And so you got to give Tennessee a lot of credit. They got there, and now that pod is very difficult. That 4-team pod, because remember they're in 2 different pods.
Wake Forest, Stanford, LSU, Tennessee that one there. So you're going to have to come. It's like coming out of a regional. You've got to win that regional, and so if LSU is going to get through, they're going to have to get through. Presumably, you would imagine Wake Forest. If Wake Forest stays playing like they are playing, but we'll see if how the ballpark changes Wake Forest's game. We'll see if
because when there's no turf and then there's no and it's playing in Yellowstone compared to playing in a bandbox.
If this was the old Rosenblatt, Wake Forest would be right at home.
I mean, Rosenblatt, the old Rosenblatt, you're right.
Yeah, the old Rosenblatt wouldn't
played
contain
offensive.
It was a very offensive
hell, one year Arizona State and it played USC and Arizona State won it, and I think it was 21-14.
Of course, the old metal bats and Rosenblatt was not a great
combination. That was late 90s, though.
Yeah. The ding then was really loud,
Yeah, the ding, and then the Jose Canseco, or by somebody inconspicuous, Canseco, years ago.
Is he related to Gordie Howe?
Oh, I don't know. Or Joe Willie, who's also Joe Namath.
No, they're not. He's not the same person.
Oh, my Lord. I would have left.
We've got to leave because we got to take a break. We'll be right back, though, I promise.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. We are talking about the potential for some isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. But not everybody's going to get wet. We are going to get to enjoy significant periods of dry time. We drop into the mid 60s as we head into the overnight, early into your Saturday morning. Overall, the front half of the weekend actually looks quite nice. A mostly to partly sunny sky. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. Rain chances are going to be minimal at best, but better opportunities for rain build into the Tennessee Valley as we head into your Father's Day. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Had some problems on the westbound side of 565 around County Line. Looks like all the traffic's moving to the right lane there. Got a couple of vehicles in the left lane. Had a state trooper report that he'd rolled up on an accident there. They were waiting on HPD to arrive. Everything else seems to be in pretty good shape this morning. We do have lots of fog to deal with, though. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
I've always gotten tons of UTIs. Cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/radio.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I wanna thank you. Thank you for making us your #1 choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. What is that, Other Side of the Moon? Pink Floyd? Comfortably Numb, Pink Floyd. The West Coast, the place to be. California for the U.S. Open in L.A. from the L.A. Country Club, and everybody taking aim. It was almost kind of like a miniature golf course because, the only thing missing was the windmills and the clown's mouth and anything else like that because golfers, these PGA golfers, made it look pretty simple yesterday. Ricky Fowler, Xander Schauffele, 8 under, 62s. First time ever that has happened. We went through all the big numbers.
Rory, 5 under.
Yeah, historically on everything that happened yesterday. The PGA Tour average this season is just 58%. It's harder to find the fairways. These fairways are approximately 12 feet worse than the Tour average, and the players simply were able to avoid it. They just threw darts yesterday.
They did, no question about it, and we're going to get the thoughts of our golf analyst, and he's also a big part of Plot Performance. We always go to him, especially during major time of the year. And, of course, this is one of those with the U.S. Open being out at the L.A. Country Club. And like Scott said, it was basically target practice yesterday for this field. It was a record-setting opening round, and we're going to talk about it with Charlie Plott. He's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Charlie. We got you, Charlie.
Yes, I'm here.
There we go.
Yeah, it was low numbers. I was looking. The cut would come at +1 if it were held today, and I mean that's sometimes a winning score.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
I think that's 80. That goes like 82 players deep to get to +1, and they cut it low 70s and ties, I believe, in the U.S. Open. That's what they do on tour, and it was exactly what you said. It is regarded as one of the greatest designs ever, but the fairway, like on the 18th hole, which you just want to be, demanding precision, is 50 yards wide.
Right.
But they had a lot of fairways that are typical U.S. Open width of about in between 20 and 25 yards wide, but without a bunch of wind, and the course was not playing hard and fast yesterday. They're not supposed to have any rain during the tournament, so it may get a lot harder to hold the fairways. If they're firm and there's a lot of slope to those fairways, it will roll into the rough. Hopefully, it will become the toughest test in golf as it's renowned to be.
Well, no, that's where I want to go with that, because mentally you prepare for a U.S. Open. And these guys have been through this 100 times on the tour. They play in the U.S. Open every year. The U.S. Open is tough. It's mentally tough. It's grueling. It's probably one of the toughest majors out there on the golf world. So you go out there yesterday, you shoot a 62 if you're Schauffele and Fowler. You shoot a 62. Mentally, you're feeling good, but in the back of your mind, the USGA is going to try something. I mean, they're going to do something. How do you mentally prepare for a week which you already thought was going to be tough, but you come out in day one and it wasn't tough, but it might be tough?
So, Scott, you raise a great question, which is you prepare for one thing and you get something else. And that requires some adjustment. Now, granted, it's adjusting in a comfortable direction for tour players. But then you start wondering, all right, what's coming now? Because the USGA has been known when things get going like this, they just simply won't water the greens. They've done this several times. The last one that was so profound to me was Shinnecock Hills, which is at the end of Long Island, and they just quit watering the greens and literally had the sod waiting to replace the greens on Monday after the tournament. They will go to no length to create what they want to create. So if I'm a player, I'm probably expecting to come out this morning and find a different golf course and one that will probably be changing. But they will do stuff to keep this somewhere I'm betting less than 10 under par to win. That would be their goal. I think probably 5 under would be their goal, which means tremendous amounts of it becoming harder as the week goes along that the players are going to face. And they can't grow the fairways in over the course of a tournament. They cannot cut the rough, which was brutal, but not that many people were in it. I don't know if anybody was up late last night and watched Rory on the 18th hole. He missed the green by a few feet, took a swing, and the ball moved 6 inches. It's that sort of rough right around the greens. But I expect, based on USGA history. Now, remember, this is not the PGA Tour that runs this. This is the United States Golf Association.
Yes.
They will literally destroy a golf course in an effort to achieve their goal, which is to make it the hardest tournament in the world.
Well, what surprised you the most? I know we were out at Cherokee Ridge yesterday, and we were talking about Brooks Koepka, but he's one over, pardon me. So he's in danger of potentially missing the cut. Now, he could have a big day today. We'll see. But Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, some big names in some peril.
Doesn't surprise me about Justin. Brooks surprised me a little bit based on how well he played in majors up till now. Maybe today is still a day you can score and do something. Schauffele, one of my favorite guys.
Yep, we talked about that. Yep.
So I'm in a U.S. Open pool, and my top two picks are Schauffele and Homa. I think Max Homa is from that area and is playing really good. He's a swing instructor that used to be here in Huntsville and Guntersville. Mark Blackburn, who's now out of Birmingham. He's having a great last couple of years, so it would be awesome to see him do well. I think what you're seeing are an interesting mix. You have a lot of guys who bomb the ball, and this course rewarded it with the generous fairways. You also had some guys like Brian Harmon who are not known to be very long, and they're playing quite well. What will happen if the golf course firms up? The fairways will hit and roll much more, and balls, once it gets on the ground and starts rolling, you don't have a lot of control over it. Tour players like softer fairways because if I can just hit it straight and it lands, it's just going to stop. And now if the fairways firm up and you hit it and it lands and it rolls and it rolls and it rolls and it rolls, you may suffer consequences. So that is, for me, the thing to be watching today is how does the ball react on the ground, especially on the greens and especially off tee shots. This will tell you what's going on with the golf course. This is the first time since like the 40s that they played the Open in L.A.
Yeah.
Which is just amazing to me when you think about it. It just typically becomes more of a northern East Coast type of tournament during the summer. So I don't know what to expect. If they don't have rain and they do have sun, then it will dry out. And so watch the weather, and it's probably going to tell you what happens.
How good was it to see Ricky Fowler atop that leaderboard? He wasn't even a part of the last two U.S. Opens. Wasn't even there. His scoring average last year was abysmal.
He's kind of fallen off the radar a little bit.
This year, he's kind of brought it back a little bit, and because it's not majors, people don't pay attention to how good Ricky Fowler has been playing as of late. Yeah, and now he comes out and fires one of the two 62s.
My goodness, guys, y'all been doing your research. Ricky has had a really good year. Hasn't been winning, but he's been much more in contention. If he is in there on Sunday, he will be a tremendous fan favorite, in my opinion. And I believe Ricky could get – he's kind of an emotional player in the sense that if he has the fans behind him, he wants to perform for them, and that really becomes a motivator. Will he be able to stand up to that spotlight? Because, my goodness, he's got to be historically one of the better players without a major. Granted, the last few years he hasn't been great, but that would be really, really exciting. There's a lot of names and a lot of interest. Two kids I worked with in high school, Harris English and Keith Mitchell, are in the top 20. I think this course sets up for them. They are long hitters. Harris is a little more of a even keel sort of guy. Keith can get a little bit over excited, so it'd be interesting to see how they respond. But there's lots of names, lots of interest, and it's going to be on in prime time in the evening, and everybody's going to enjoy that.
Yeah, and then DeChambeau, he's actually in contention. So
again, a course that would suit him extremely well. I did not know enough about this golf course just because nobody plays it on TV. You know, you don't get to see it. I'd heard it was unbelievable. It looks that way. Golf course designers think it's one of the best layouts given the land that they had to work with. It's just beautifully laid out. And hopefully the firmness of the conditions will start fitting the generosity of the layout. Like I said, hard, fast conditions make fairways smaller as far as how they play. And they gave them some generous fairways on holes. Some tremendously long holes. I mean, there's several 520-plus yard par fours. You know, and we go out and play, and if something's over 500 yards, we consider it long.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The longest last three holes in major golf history, if you add all the yardages up. It's like over 1,500 yards on the last three holes.
Well, if you're Xander Schauffele, you're also waking up this morning doing everything different than what you've ever done at a major before, because yesterday was his 12th time firing a round in the 60s in a major. Xander Schauffele has never had back-to-back 60 rounds in a major. So I guess, Charlie, at this point you're doing everything different than what you've done before because you want to make sure that your first time doing it is in round two, which you don't know what a golf course is going to look like because of the USGA.
So should we be looking to see if his socks are inside out?
Yeah.
Or wrong colors or what here?
Yeah, he's going to drive different to the course. Yeah. I mean, what do you do, though, in your mind knowing that, you know, you're in contention again? Xander Schauffele has been in this spot before. He's finished in the top 15 in all 6 U.S. Opens. He's never won it. But here he is atop the leaderboard, a record-breaking day, but you've never fired back-to-back round 60s in a major.
Well, I think you've got to draw some encouragement from the fact that it is a little wider of a golf course, and it's probably still going to give you opportunities. If you get to this level, you cannot be living with inherent self-doubt, and you have to take the mental approach of, you know, history is just that, history. It does not mean it's going to predict or control what is about to happen. So, you know, you say you do everything different. He'll probably try to do everything the same that he does every week at a tour event. The biggest battle has to do with expectations. You go and you play well. Rarely do you see somebody follow it up. I had a client several years ago that plays on tour. He finished about 10th at the PGA, and he shot 58 the first day.
Wow.
58. And had 2 putts, do 180-degree horseshoes, and he 3-putted par 5 for par. So he's telling me, oh, Charles, it could have been 55.
Yeah.
Well, then he comes back and shoots 65, 64, 63. And that is rare to see somebody shoot low numbers and back them up with low numbers. So it would be expected that, you know, no way am I going to go shoot 62 again. But you start getting expectations, and as soon as you say, oh, I've got this, oh, this is, you know, I can do this over again, you start setting expectations and you measure every shot by those. You know, oh, no, I hit it in the fairway, so maybe I can't do it. Or, you know, you hit it, you birdie the first 2 holes, and you start thinking, oh, well, this will be easy. Well, just wait. You'll end up in a divot and plug in a bunker or something, and adversity comes. So keeping an open mind and accepting whatever game you have today is key. And so you look at the top and go, okay, who's more likely to crumble under this? I think Ricky Fowler may be. Schauffele has been a little more in contention. I think either one of those would love a round in the 60s. It does not have to be super low, just solid. And I think they would both be very happy.
All right.
Well, great stuff from Charlie Plott from Plott Performance. Tell everybody about it, man. We always appreciate the analysis.
Oh, I tell you, we've got so much good going on. We've got a kid yesterday who won his second tournament in a month.
Uh-oh.
Since we've started working together. Started today with a 4-shot lead and finished with a 5-shot lead. So I was really, really pleased with that. Picking up new folks constantly. Just started working with a kid from Atlanta. I'm going to work with a baseball player today. I mean, I've got a great job. I've been fishing twice in 2 weeks on Lake Gunnersville with pro bass anglers. If you want to work on your mental game, reach out to us. My number is 256-509-2636, or you can go to the website, just click contact us button, and that email will come to me or one of my staff, and we can talk about improving your performance. And we do the same thing for business that we do for athletes, and we do a lot of that as well.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Enjoy it.
Talk to y'all later.
Let's get a break in. Wrap up hour one coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck coming out of DeKalb County, Alabama 75 at Ider Road. That's County Road 800. Apparently 75 is closed completely and a commercial vehicle involved in a wreck there. Got a couple of wrecks on 565, one westbound near Glen Hern. The other one's near County Line. 2 vehicles in the left lane there. That's slowing westbound traffic down big time this morning. Someone dies from heart disease every 36 seconds. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue can help you keep your heart healthy in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
I've always gotten tons of UTIs. Cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/radio.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
One of the best-kept golf secrets in the Tennessee Valley is Cherokee Ridge. Cherokee Ridge truly offers golf at a higher level with immaculate greens set against a spectacular Appalachian backdrop. This 18-hole championship course takes every advantage of rolling hills, whispering woods, lakes, and streams. Interested in becoming a member? Their membership plans feature affordable options for couples, families, and individuals. Book your tee time today. 256-841-4551. Cherokee Ridge. Championship quality, affordable prices.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Installation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on at advancedlifeclinic.com.
256-576-4977. Where did you spend $30
at Buc-ee's?
I thought that's what you said. $30 at Buc-ee's.
I had some fresh brisket on the boat, and I did finally try the sausage on a stick. That
What
was
did you
half of
think?
my. It was good.
Okay.
I mean, that was 15 to the 30, but then you got to get the snacks.
And then you get a drink.
Yeah, and then I had to run back in and get an icy.
So you spent $30 at Buc-ee's,
Yeah.
but you've also spent $30 somewhere else, too. I forget. Where did you spend $30 at by yourself?
Oh, you're talking about IHOP, where I spent $38. Yeah,
$38 at IHOP or $30 at Buc-ee. Which
Yeah.
one did you get a better value at?
Duckies.
There you go.
I mean, no offense, but food was good both places. But I mean, I got more stuff. I got a bag of stuff at Buc-ee's. It lasts me 2 days, man. I mean, we had dinner at Buc-ee's. I mean, that brisket's good. You know it's good.
No, it is good. It is good.
It's very good. Chopped brisket, man.
It's all good there. I haven't been out there in a little bit.
Oh, really?
No.
So.
I was disappointed though because I could not get an In-N-Out burger when I was out on the West Coast.
Oh, you didn't get an
drove
In-N-Out burger.
Okay, so I drove right past one. We didn't have time to stop,
Oh.
and then when I was in Vegas, it was closed.
Closed?
So I literally, yeah,
Oh,
it was past midnight.
Oh, well, so they actually do close in Vegas.
Yeah, they do. But I was disappointed because I could not get an In-N-Out burger. I was right there. And
Well, you could
couldn't
have
get
gone
an
through the
In-N-Out burger.
drive-through. Y'all must have been in a hurry.
Well, there were 4 other people in the car.
Oh.
And my opinion did not matter on where we were stopping.
They didn't want an In-N-Out burger.
That
I guess
was what it was. They don't pay attention. My parents, they don't know about In-N-Out burger. They don't know the whole. They don't care about that.
Yeah.
That doesn't fly. I mean, come on.
Right. I've still never had one, so you know how it is. I've heard about it and haven't had it to compare it to anything else. So, you should. I mean, I guess you were in Oregon. I don't guess they have Fat Sal's in Oregon though.
No,
That's another,
they do have some Chick-fil-A though.
Oh, do
Not
they?
very many of them, but they
Oh,
do
really?
have. Yeah, they do have. They do have some Chick-fil-A.
Hmm.
Not many, just a few. It
Gotcha.
was not. Yeah.
And no Buc-ee's, I'm assuming.
No, Buc-ee's is not made its way out there to the West Coast. Out there, no,
Right.
no Buc-ee's. They look at you. I mean, half of the places you got.
Oh, no, of course, it's self-service gas. I mean, if you had 120.
They don't even have. A lot of places don't have sweet tea though either.
Oh, of course not. I mean, they'd look at you cross-eyed.
So that's why you got to find a McDonald's.
Oh, you got to find a McDonald's
Because
on the
McDonald's
West Coast.
has sweet tea no matter
even,
where.
even on the West Coast.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it tastes. And yeah, I was.
And it tastes the same, yeah.
I don't
But yeah,
drink
but
it.
I was going to say, you're not a McDonald's guy.
My wife drinks sweet tea.
Oh.
So we had to find. So on the way back.
So she was having a hankering, huh?
She needed some sweet tea, and she's like, McDonald's has it. She goes, no matter, she's like, I can count on
Because
McDonald's.
there ain't no Milos over in Oregon.
There's no Milos. I mean, you're not getting, yeah. You can get all kinds of tea.
Yeah.
You can get all kinds of other things. But you
Oh,
can't get,
Lord. There's no telling what's in Bill Walton's tea. I can tell you that.
All right, well, you can also get a Jello shot at Rocco's if you're at the College World Series.
How much are they?
Is Mark Etheridge there?
I don't know. We're going to ask him. But, I mean, we'll ask him at 8:30. But I wonder, how much are those Jello shots a piece if it's going to charity?
We'll find out. We'll also kick off hour 2, talk some financial numbers, and does it really
What if
mean
you have
anything?
I mean, what if you just order one and you're not part of one of the teams? How does that count? Is that
Pick
a free
team.
agent?
Just pick a team.
Oh.
Or get one of everything.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Deshaun Robinson is a plus 300 favorite to win the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. Bryce Young plus 500, CJ Stroud plus 900. MVP futures, Patrick Mahomes plus 700, Joe Burrow plus 750, Josh Allen plus 800. NFL offseason activities finish up this week. For most teams, that was mandatory minicamp. Next on the agenda, training camp. About a month away, the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs are the favorite to win it again at plus 650, followed by the Eagles at plus 800, the Bills plus 900, the Niners plus 1,000. The Cardinals and Texans head into the season as the longest bets at plus 20,000 apiece.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Oh, there we go. Hour 2 underway. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the show this morning. So, we were talking about the College World Series. It does get underway today at 1 o'clock in Omaha. I'm figuring this out right now. So the Rocco Jello Shot Challenge, I was wrong. It doesn't go back to charity. $4.50 is what it costs for each Jello shot there in Omaha. For the Rock. Okay, they give $2 of each Jello shot back to the school.
Oh, to the university.
To the university. So LSU right now has had 282 Jello shots on the board. So they're getting $564 back to the school right now is LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it works. So You're not going to get a ton of money back, but you're going to get a little bit.
Unless Shaquille O'Neal brings a posse of folks, and he's been known to buy stuff out, man. And maybe pay for 100,000 Jello shots or something. Now, I'd hate to be the person that had to prepare all that. I mean, that'd be a stress level off the charts, having to take care of that many Jello shots, but you'd be making your university some cash.
$4.50. I mean, you could drop $100 down there and say, just give me a few.
I need some stress medicine, man.
You spend $30 would get you about.
Now, I'm not spending $30 on Jello shots, man. I'd much rather have Buc-ee's.
Anyway.
There it is.
Yeah.
Bandy told us about the breaking news.
That means we'd have to talk NBA if we mention it.
Well, Bob Myers stepped down. I'll talk about it since it's a Duke guy.
Mike Dunleavy, the new GM of the Golden State Warriors.
Played for a long time in the NBA. Had a great run a national championship at Duke. And
so that's what it is?
Take over.
So if I'm talking to NBA, I just need to go through and look and see if it's a Duke-related guy. And then
Zion might get traded. I mean, that's the speculation. That's the new story now that the best player in basketball who can't jump over a phone book led the Denver Nuggets to a championship and was a second-round draft pick, but they're too busy trying to give the number 1 pick to Victor Wembanyama, and he LeBron'd it, got swept in the finals in France. That's that's a new term for when the team gets swept, you get LeBron'd.
Oh, my goodness.
It's happened to him quite a bit. So you can basically term that the LeBron.
The LeBron.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the College World Series, who is going to get LeBron?
Or O2 barbecued.
Yeah.
That was Mike Martin who termed that. That's the first time I ever heard that. Years ago now. Because he did everything but win it. And he got to the finals a few times, but he always talked about how you hated to get there and go 0-2 barbecue. So
well, the Atlanta Braves yesterday are not going to go. They're not going to get LeBron in their series against Colorado.
No,
because they took the game yesterday 8-3.
Now the Mets have been getting LeBron quite a bit lately. That's been exciting.
But after the game or before the game, it had to be before the game because it couldn't have been during the game. Brian Snitker did give us an update and say that Kyle Wright has been cleared to begin a throwing program. There's no timetable for his return to the Braves lineup. He's been out since May, right shoulder strain. Won't be back in Atlanta starting rotation until some point in the second half of the year after the All-Star break.
Right.
But the good news is he has been cleared to begin a throwing program. And Max Fried kind of inching his way back as well. Don't expect either one of them, Fried or Wright, back before or after until after the All-Star break in July. But good news there.
Yeah, I mean, the speculation I heard about Kyle was the earliest would be 4 weeks, which would be a month. But as you said, maybe after the All-Star break for Kyle before he returns to the Braves. Same way with Max Fried. So that would be a couple of nice, almost like trade deadline additions for the Braves as they continue to lead the NL East. And they've done a really good job having young pitchers step up and that's even with Spencer Strider struggling lately a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, his velocity is a little down. I mean, when you talk about a little, going from 101, 102 to 97, and he's been giving up quite a few home runs. His ERA is now above 4, but and he's admitting that he's even having mechanics issues, that he needs to make some adjustments. We'll see what Rick Kranitz can do with that. But certainly the Braves still in good position, and
who would have thought if I would have told you right now at this point in the season, 69 games into the year, that the Atlanta Braves would be leading the NL East by 5 games? You would say, I expected that. But if I told you that they're leading by 5 games over the Miami Marlins, 8 games over the Phillies, and 10.5 games over the Mutts.
Say that again.
5 games over the Marlins.
I meant the last part. I like the last part the best. 8 games
over the Phillies and 10.5 games over the Marlins.
You mean the Mutts?
Or the Mets. The Mutts. The Marlins, the Mets, the Mutts.
The Mutts.
Yes, the Mutts.
That's what I wanted you to repeat. 10.5 games over the Mutts with their $340 million payroll or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. If I would have said that in the beginning of the year, you would have thought, I don't know. I mean, there is some dire situation going on there in New York.
Now, they may straighten it out. I hope not. But, we'll see. But, yeah.
Does Buck Showalter even make it to the All-Star game? I mean, at this point, who do you put the blame on? Do you put the blame on
their player development, because you can't just go buy a team? I'm sorry.
No, you're right. They spent a lot of money to get a lot of guys. The return investment has not been good.
The Dodgers finally won a World Series, okay? And they finally bought their way to one, but it's really very difficult. Most of the time, as you see, the highest payroll ball club doesn't win the World Series. It just doesn't happen. Even Houston. No. Houston's had the best run lately. They've won multiple titles, finally got Dusty Baker a ring, but they have a high payroll, but it's not like the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers or somebody like that who are spending so much money.
Hey, my Cubs are 6 games below 500 right now.
Yeah.
We're only 3.5 games back out of the lead.
Well, and I'll give Barrett Slee credit for this. I saw he's a huge Braves guy, lives in Atlanta, and he compared stats at this 69 games or so into the season between Dansby Swanson and Orlando Arcia, and what the Cubs are getting for their $100+ million and what the Braves are getting for $7 million. And the Braves are coming out on top right now as Dansby's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start with the Cubs.
He has.
So.
No, he has, and I agree. He's gotten off to a slow start, but the entire Cubs organization or the entire Cubs team has gotten off to a slow start.
Since the Cubs won the World Series back in 2016, it's almost like they had a price to pay for winning it, because I would have thought with that young core they would have – I don't know about winning. I would have thought they would have been in contention, though, and not had to blow it up and had a chance to win another championship, and really they haven't come close.
No.
And then they traded everyone off.
They should have had 2 or 3 with the core that they had. They got one.
I just don't understand it, because they have as loyal a fan base as there is, even when – because even when in all the lean years they draw. and they're like a money-making machine as far as their ballpark. Why do they not spend more money, or is it just that they spend it poorly, they draft poorly? What is the Cubs' problem?
Right now, you would say the Ricketts are the problem because it seems like they don't want to spend money.
You're talking about the ownership.
Yeah. You probably put blame on the ownership.
So that's where it comes down to.
Because
the owners don't want to push the envelope.
They
and spend
say
big money.
they want to be competitive.
But they only go about halfway.
Right. And
they don't go all the way in.
Fear is the luxury tax. And
they don't want to pay that.
I don't want to pay that. And so I think that is where a lot of it stems from. And before the Ricketts came in, though, the organization didn't draft well. And that was Theo Epstein, who came in and changed that philosophy, got him drafting well, and that's where the core came from.
Now he's bumped up working for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he's no longer there. Judd Hoyer is
his
the man calling the shots now, and I don't know. I don't know what to think. This team was assembled to have success, maybe not World Series success, but get to the playoffs. Maybe it's David Ross as the manager who's not coming through.
That's
getting it done.
The most overrated
I don't know.
part, though. To me, I don't think it's the manager in Major League Baseball. You got to have good players.
How much does Brian Snitker though have with this Braves? I mean, it's not manager, but Brian Snitker though.
What the Braves have done for the most part, and I think this is why they have been a good organization since the early '90s for a long time now, 30 years. Is they've been selective in free agency, but what they've done the best job of is drafting and developing their own players and retaining said players.
Okay.
And then, being selective in free agency every now and then and making a splash. But I think for the most part it's been drafting and developing talent, and especially pitching. So to me, and then when they make a trade, like they get a Max Fried, a young pitcher, just like they got John Smoltz for Doyle Alexander. And then what you have to do is retain said pitching. In other words, don't give up on it and trade it and things of that nature. So that's why I think the Braves have been good. Now, of course, they've been fortunate. They did have the one mini disaster for a couple years where they got fined and gave up draft picks because their previous general manager was cheating and all that kind of stuff. But they were able to quickly hire Alex Anthopoulos, and you got to give Alex a lot of credit for what he's done. I mean, he made some moves, made some trades, and it looked like the Braves, were going nowhere fast a couple of years ago. But he's turned it completely around. And when he made all those trades the year they won the World Series, and really the last 2 years they've gotten off to slow starts in the first half of the season and got rolling. This year, you've already pointed out, the Braves are off to a much better start. Yeah. We'll see if they can sustain it. And so far they've been able to do it through injuries. But I think the reason they have is what you just got through talking about, as you pointed out, all the young pitchers that have stepped up because they've drafted well. I mean, Strider was a 4th-round pick out of Clemson. So the Braves have drafted well. The young man that pitched last night, I'm still learning how to pronounce it. Somebody might be able to help me here. But he pitched really well. He's a 7th-round pick, and he's 20 years old. So the Braves have done a great job of developing young pitchers, and it goes back to Lou Piniella's old philosophy. He's like, never make a trade with the Braves. If they're giving you a pitcher, the pitchers are pretty much finished. Do not fall for it.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, Matt Hayes.
Oh, Lord.
His article is entitled, "The Truth Is, There Might Be 8 Teams with Better Quarterbacks Than Alabama This Year."
Why didn't he talk about Georgia? They're replacing their quarterback. So is Ohio State. Why does he always have to bring up Alabama? Because Gators suck?
We'll delve into this next.
This is stupid.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got that one wreck in DeKalb County. 75 is closed at County Road 8. Other than that, everything's clear now. You be careful on your trip in this morning. Looks like we are going to have a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode. You could fly Breeze nonstop to Orlando, Las Vegas, or Tampa starting at $49. What are you waiting for? You could get to the fun faster, and you could book at flybreeze.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day, Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at $5. Coralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials. At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
There are those among us when disaster strikes and seconds count, they rush in. Where would Huntsville and America be without them? They're our military and our first responders, and at Woody Anderson Ford, we salute them. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, where all military personnel and all first responders get an extra $1,000 appreciation cash on top of all other offers. This offer is good through July 5th and can include an extra $1,000 bonus cash on 2023 F-150 and Bronco Sport, $1,500 cash back on 23 Edge, and $2,000 cash back on 23 Explorers. These offers are available for everyone with good credit through Ford Motor Credit, but military and first responders get an additional $1,000 appreciation cash. Our way of saying thank you for having our back. Woody Anderson Ford, over 60 years of serving those that serve us. Hope to see you soon.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you.
AJ Smith Shaver, is that it?
For what? I don't know what.
The kid, I was, I should have looked it up, but I think that's it, isn't it?
Okay.
Shaver, that's what it looks like.
Right.
That's the kid who pitched the 20-year-old that they're developing.
Ah, okay.
That they called up just recently.
Got it.
Yeah.
So before the break, we threw out the article titled, "The Truth Is There Might Be 8 Teams with Better Quarterbacks than Alabama."
I was trying to interrupt this because I just think it's a waste of bandwidth.
But he puts in here that Nick Saban has created, because of all of his success and everything that he has done, that the expectation is that, and he says that Alabama's, should be near the top, but we're in uncharted territory with Alabama because in his 16 seasons, he has not had this much inexperience at the most important position on the field, and that he has never gone 3 consecutive years without winning a national title. And that if you look at Nick Saban and you look at this Alabama team, because of the quarterback spot, because of where they are with all the inexperience at the quarterback spot and the unknowns at this position, that the quarterback spot being that it is completely unresolved at this point with a brand new offensive coordinator and play caller, that the bar is not going 3 consecutive seasons without winning it all. But it's not absurd to think that, but the bar is set because of the unrivaled success that it was up here, but because of everything, that the bar may not be as high this year.
Well, let me ask a question. I wonder if Moron Patrol would have picked Alabama to win the national championship with Jake Coker at quarterback in 2015. Did he have any experience as a starter? Had he ever started one game?
Did he start before he came to Alabama?
Hell no, he didn't start before he came to Alabama. They had crab legs starting. Okay? That's why he left. Jameis Winston was starting. He didn't start. And the year before, Blake Sims got him to the playoff. And nobody had Blake Sims starting, but he got him to the playoff and won an SEC championship. I mean, A.J. McCarron in 2013, he was a guy that won 3 national championship rings, but in the next 2 years they had 1-year starting quarterbacks, and they won the national championship in 2015 with a guy that had never started before, okay, in any game. Alabama at least has a guy in the mix at starting quarterback. Well, they have 2 because Milroe did start a game against Dirtneck last year. And
then, he won that game.
And then we know Tyler Buckner started some games for Notre Dame last year, 2 or 3.
Right.
So they have more experience. They have more experience now than they did then. And I think they have a solid core around them. So, I mean, if Alabama can win the national championship in 2015, then they can make a run for it this year. But, I mean, saying that there's 8 teams with better quarterbacks, maybe that's true, but he probably would have wrote the same story back in 2015 and looked like a moron. So, whatever.
And you're saying that there's 8 teams. I mean, you could say there's 8 teams that are better quarterbacks, but they just have the experience, though. We just have to put that caveat in there, right?
I mean, we've got people thinking Joe Milton might be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft.
Would you put Joe Milton ahead? I mean, would you, better-wise, I mean, you've seen Ty Simpson. You've seen Jalen Milroe. And if you put Joe Milton in the mix, which one would you want to take? Which quarterback would you want to have leading your offense?
I would want Ty Simpson because of his upside. I've seen enough of Joe Milton. I know he's got the strongest arm in America, and he's a great athlete, but he hasn't ever won a bunch of games. He won an Orange Bowl against Clemson, who was starting a Klubnik because DJ Uiagalelei had already run his course. And it had basically already been a flop. I mean, if Uiagalelei was the real deal, he would have been the first pick in the draft last year. DJ Uiagalelei would have moved on, okay? He was draft eligible, Scott. He wouldn't be at Oregon State.
Right.
He would have been like his predecessor, who was supposedly the greatest of all time, who's looking like he's turning the corner in Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence. He would have been the first pick in the draft. But instead, Bryce Young was, because Bryce Young, as always, was the better player. Even though he's 3, 4, 5 inches shorter, and even though he can't throw the ball 75 yards and he can't run a 4.5 40, that's not what a quarterback is.
Right. Well, Hayes in the article says the difference between McElroy, McCarron, and Coker winning as first-year starters is that they spent multiple seasons in the program coached by the same offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Jim McElwain / Lane Kiffin.
Okay, whatever your narrative fits, man. Your Gators suck. We own them. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, and I'm saying we, and I don't give a damn because we're the home of the University of Alabama here on this station. Alabama owns Florida. So,
Lewis with us on the phone lines. Good morning, Lewis.
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Lewis.
I feel like I don't agree with that idiot and what he put out there because, for one, Milroe is a great quarterback, and I'm not even a Bama fan. You know, I'm an LSU Tiger all day, every day.
Yep, that's true.
Milroe is a damn good quarterback. Excuse my French. He just needs more reps, and he's going to get them now. I think he's going to win the job, if you ask me personally. But, they need something to talk about right now. Bama's changed, and it's not that Bama's changed. Everybody kind of caught up, finally. Everybody kind of caught up to Alabama, finally. So let's say the playing fields are like leveling out in a sense, but I don't think we'll ever be on the same level with Bama. Just got to do what you can. My Tigers, I feel like we're going to win it all, of course, but you know, it's a different discussion for another day, closer to when the season starts. How you feel about that?
Well, I mean, LSU's going to be really good. I mean, I've already said they're going to be the top. I think Alabama and LSU are going to fight it out for the West. They're going to be the top two teams in the division, in my opinion.
LSU probably has one of the best defensive players.
I
think in the league.
I think everybody remembers in Atlanta last year. I was on one of the rare ones. I actually thought LSU was in Alabama were going to be the two best teams. Most were picking LSU near the bottom of the West, if not in the bottom three. I had them second. I thought they were going to be a lot better than people thought, just simply because they got rid of one of the dumbest head coaches in the history of football. And so, I thought they were going to have discipline, and I thought they would. And I thought they still had. I will say this: he wasn't a very good coach, but he was a really good recruiter. He's kind of like 2 times Bohannon at baseball for Alabama. He could recruit, just couldn't coach his way out of a sandbox. And so
definitely.
So that was the problem. And so and Brian Kelly had done about as much as he could at Notre Dame, and I thought they would have a good team, and they did. So I think Alabama and LSU are going to be the two best teams in the West, and you know, at least one of them will make the playoff, because I think that somebody's going to go to Atlanta, and I still think the SEC could have 2 of the Final 4 again.
I think it's safe to say when we get to Nashville in less than a month. Now, less than a month.
Yeah, it is less than a month.
It'll be LSU 1, Alabama 2, probably in the West right now. And then I think Georgia and Tennessee 1 and 2 in the East.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Georgia as a whole? Do you think they're still going to hold that dominance they had? Because I know their conference is kind of different. You know, you got to look at who they play. Just being honest.
Well, yeah, the East is a whole lot easier right now.
I mean, and they're doing away with divisional play after this year. But as far as going into the last year of divisional play, I mean, unless South Carolina turns the corner or Kentucky ends up being really good, they got Liam Cohen back. I just don't see Georgia being challenged. I mean,
look like
Tennessee would probably be the only one. But I'm not even convinced Tennessee is going to put together back-to-back seasons.
I'm not either. I think they lost too much of their core to actually look the same. I don't think they're going to look near as what they did last year. They had an incredible run. I give them that, you know. But at the end of the day, I can't sit back and say, they're going to do just as well, because that'll be lying. I don't feel that way. I don't think that they will.
Yeah.
Well, what are the Florida Gators? What are they going to do?
I mean, I don't know why. I know there's at least 8 teams with better quarterback situations than Florida, but Matt Hayes isn't going to write about that. I mean, they got the retread from Wisconsin, Graham Mertz, and you know they lost out on the Jaden Rashada ridiculousness. And he ended up going to Arizona State. So I really don't know what to expect. I will say this, Mark McLeod and the people that we talked to, and Nick Delatorre and those guys, they have expectations of hopeful 8-4. I don't really think they're going into it thinking that Florida is going to be a championship contender this year in year 2 for Billy Napier.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a toss-up right now. And without the transfer portal, of course, it just takes everything and turns it upside down. But it adds a little spice to it, too, because now it's not predictable anymore. Yeah. At least, you know, in the other conferences. SEC, you can always look at LSU, Alabama, and LSU have stepped up a bit with the hiring of Brian Kelly and with a second year for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Because first year was a mess to me, only because of he didn't trust his wide receivers. And it was solely come from where he come from. I feel like he didn't have anything to play with where he came from. What, Arizona State?
That's
I feel
right.
like he didn't have anything to play with over there. And so he come down here in this program and he didn't get enough time to develop that rapport, build that rapport, and develop the relationship with the wide receivers. So I think this year is going to be different. And Brian Kelly, of course, is like Brian Kelly. He's won. He's had Notre Dame. They've been winning. They just have different type of talent compared to what he have now. So I'm ready for this season.
Appreciate it, Lewis.
Thanks, Lewis.
Thank you, man.
Y'all take it easy.
Yeah, we got to get a break in. We didn't mean to cut him off, but we got to get a break in. because Mark Etheridge is going to join us. We're going to talk some College World Series. It all gets started in about 2.5 hours there, 3.5 hours in Omaha, give or take a few. Mark Etheridge next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. We are talking about the potential for some isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. But not everybody's going to get wet. We are going to get to enjoy significant periods of dry time. We drop into the mid 60s as we head into the overnight, early into your Saturday morning. Overall, the front half of the weekend actually looks quite nice. A mostly to partly sunny sky. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. Rain chances are going to be minimal at best, but better opportunities for rain build into the Tennessee Valley as we head into your Father's Day. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We should be back to a clean slate now. Our last reported accident was westbound, 565 near Glen Hearn. I think it's out of the way now. Have to go all the way to DeKalb County to find another working accident. That one's around County 800 on Alabama 75. Commercial vehicle in a wreck there. Apparently the road's closed completely. Snelling has direct hire positions for an experienced payroll accountant and a staff accountant. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Talking ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. As we mentioned earlier in the show, we kind of highlighted it just a little bit. The College World Series getting ready to begin today in Omaha. It begins at 1 o'clock, so I was a little off when I said 3 hours.
Yeah, I was
That's
looking
why
at
I said
you a
give
little
or take,
bit.
give or take a few, so more than take.
I thought you were going for some Jell-O shots, but by the way, our Cheeseburger Bobby Zone deal that went into live, it's sold out about as fast as, maybe not quite as fast, but nearly as fast as the Cherokee Ridge, so gone.
There we go. Hey, let's go. TCU Oral Roberts today at 1 o'clock. Florida, Virginia at 6 o'clock. That's today. Then tomorrow you get 1 o'clock Wake Forest, Stanford. 6 o'clock LSU, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's going to be a great College World Series, and we're going to break it all down with a guy that's a big part of D1Baseball.com. Been following this guy for 25-plus years in the business. He was one of the first to have a great passion for college baseball and bring it to us as a mainstream media. And he's been a big part of since D1 Baseball debuted with Kendall Rogers, Aaron Fitt, Joe Healy, and all those guys. But we're going to talk to Mark Etheridge. He's been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, guys. You ready for some ball?
We're ready. Now, are you going to be in Omaha this year, or are you going to be watching from afar?
Yeah, I'm not. We've got 5 reporters.
Told you. I told you they could get as many credentials as they wanted.
Yeah, we can. It's just what are you going to do with 5 of them?
You go to Rocco's.
I'm sure we can figure something out. But,
well, somebody could be keeping up with the Jell-O shot by shot. We've already been talking about that.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you guys are going to have blowout coverage, and it should be a great field. Certainly that pod with Tennessee and LSU is in Stanford, those guys, that's a really difficult 4-team pod there, Mark.
It is, and I do agree that's the more challenging one. I mean, you have, Wake Forest, who's been the number 1 team in the country the latter half of the year, and you have LSU, who's the number 1 team up until that point, and then you have Stanford, who's also a national seed, and then Tennessee, who was a preseason. They were the number 2 team overall, certainly one of the more talented teams in the country. So, yeah, that's definitely difficult. I do think that it's going to be interesting. Yesterday, all those teams are really home run focused offensively. And yesterday when they practiced in the stadium, the ball was flying out. And there's been a lot of chatter because it's usually a pitcher's park.
Yeah.
But I think these offenses are just so advanced, and you've seen the offensive numbers to back that up all year, that it's going to play just like it has all year. Or at least if yesterday's any indication, going to be a lot of home runs this week, a lot of excitement. And I think the other thing I'd point out is just how many stars there are this week. If you look at the guys that are, elite draft picks in next month's draft, there's so many of them still playing, and that's kind of unique for this year's field.
Well, the whole thing is the number 1 seeds usually don't fare very well.
Since 99.
Since 99. And Wake Forest now has that on their backs. They come in looking like the number 1 seed, but this ballpark changes everything because, Wake Forest loves the long ball, but their pitching has been fantastic. So you look at it, if their pitching is good, they have a chance. But hitting-wise, it's a different ballpark. Where do you see Wake Forest in all of this?
Yeah, that's really the interesting part. I mean, because their ballpark is definitely hitter-friendly, but they pitch so well in that hitter-friendly ballpark. And those things just don't really compute. So it shows that how well they keep the ball down, how well they avoid the long fly balls that in that ballpark tend to fly over the wall, and they've been able to get a lot of strikeouts. And you put those things together, and that'll play anywhere. So I do think that, they are the favorite by most people coming into it. But there's just something in the back of my mind. I mean, this is baseball. The best team over the regular season rarely wins the whole thing, okay? And it's usually not even one of the top 2 or 3 best teams. It's someone else who comes in. So while a lot of people are picking Wake, other people are picking Florida, who's number 2 or their next best team remaining based on the regular season. And then you have LSU, who's, we talked about how good they've been all year. Wouldn't it be something if somebody else makes a run through this thing? Because that's just kind of the way things have gone. Baseball is a tournament. It's not the best. Excuse me. It's not the best team all season. It's the best team this week, and that's what I'm eager to find out.
Well, can Oral Roberts be another Coastal Carolina?
Probably not, but heck, I mean, they've won, 31 out of 33 games. They're playing really confident. After they lost that game against Oregon.
Yeah, it was amazing Super Regional.
They were up 8-0 and lost. And that's the kind of thing that just demoralizes you. I mean, it beats you, obviously, on the scoreboard, but also beats you mentally. And for them to bounce back and roll through and win those next 2 games, I'm not betting against them at this point, not until that final out in the 9th inning. I think they're just kind of one of those teams that believes and playing with confidence. And everybody's good this time of year. But when you have that sort of, hey, we're never out of it mentality, that's a tough team to deal with.
Florida comes into this one. They did not win the SEC championship there in Hoover, but they, one of the best teams in the league all year. They come into this. They have a Virginia team who is going to be scrappy. Something tells me, though, that this might be Florida's turn to come out of this little pod and get into that title game.
Yeah, they're my pick.
Me too.
Quartet. I do think that Florida and Virginia are pretty similar offensively. I think Florida may have a little bit more thump in the middle of that lineup with Wyatt Langford and obviously Jack Caglione and Josh Rivera, Cade Curlin. I mean, it's BT Rafael. It keeps going, man. They've got so many fearsome bats in the middle of the lineup. The difference, though, is on the mound. And Florida has so much pitching depth. Their top, their rotation, basically, the top three pitchers, that's the best velocity of anybody in the staff. They don't always throw strikes, and that's going to be the key in this ballpark, especially because if they pitch up to their capability in a pitcher's ballpark and throw strikes, that's a tough team to deal with. And the other thing I would mention on Florida is because of that pitching depth, they're probably the best team. They're the best suited to make a run through the losers bracket.
Gotcha.
Most of these clubs really need to stay in the winners bracket, so you aren't, using so many pitchers. But Florida, obviously they want to stay in the winners bracket, but if they don't, it's not over for them because they've got the arms to match up, and their fourth and fifth guys are going to be as good as your 2 and 3 guys.
Well, back in your days of the first, I know I want to say the first time I remember reading your stuff and knowing you were covering college baseball was in the late 90s, and it's hard to believe how many years have passed and how quickly. I can remember Kurt Sarlos pitching against Alabama in Tuscaloosa with Cal State Fullerton. That was probably the best series I ever witnessed as far as talent goes. I think that was 99. Alabama went to Omaha. I think Fullerton did too. Jeremy Brown hit a walk-off to win it on Sunday, I think against Sarlos. But now he's got TCU back in it, and we're really not talking about them, and they were a 2 seed, but what kind of shot does Sarlos's ball club have?
Yeah, I really like that club. They went into Fayetteville, and that was a non-competitive regional. They just pounded Arkansas.
Yeah,
and Arkansas was a team. You remember in the regular season, they didn't lose at home.
No, they didn't.
They basically just ran through the best conference in the country. Whoever came to their ballpark, they handled them, and they had no answer for TCU. So that just sticks with me. I know they didn't look as impressive against Indiana State. They certainly won the Super Regional, but they're my pick to make the Final Four basically in that Florida bracket. I do like them. Just how well they're playing. They don't have a ton of pitching depth. They need to stay in the winners bracket as well. They've got young pitchers. For most of the second half of the year, they threw all freshmen basically in their rotation. So how will they handle the big stage like this? We'll see. But I really like, kind of like what we talked about with Will Roberts, playing really well at the end of the year. I think they've only lost two games since the month of May. Something crazy like that. So another team playing their best ball at the right time of year. It's going to be a really interesting, journey for them to see if they can take that next step. Because this was a club under Jim Schlossnagle. They were Omaha regulars.
Yes,
the first time they've been in a few years, and I think it sort of validates the decision, to elevate Kirk Sarlos into that head coaching role.
When it's all said and done, is the SEC just going to drive everybody crazy again and have an all SEC final?
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I really think that there's a great opportunity for Florida and LSU to meet, and I would not hate that. I think that would be
I hope it happens.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I do think that LSU, obviously with Paul Skeens, going game one, you have to like their chances. And that would set up quite the winners bracket game, assuming Wake Forest takes care of business as well.
Yeah.
A Wake LSU or winners bracket game to advance. That could be, that's kind of the matchup we've been waiting for all year.
Yeah, and then Skeens would very likely pitch game 1. I wouldn't think they would hold him out. They want to stay in the winners bracket, so it would LSU's pitching is going to have to, and it looked like it was starting to come around in the regionals and the supers. That would be the big key, no question about it. But Mark, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you. Alabama, new era of college baseball. Their hire of Rob Vaughn and retaining Jason Jackson. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, based on the comments from the press conference yesterday, that Greg Byrne made a decision pretty early on Rob Vaughn. I mean, kind of before Alabama made this, or the bulk of this late season run, and hosted a regional and won it. So, he found the guy he liked, and basically they had an agreement pretty quickly. And I think with Vaughn, he is a young, energetic coach. I think he's 35. He's got a lot of energy. He's very relatable, good personal skills, those sorts of things that should help him on the recruiting trail. But a lot of times you hire those guys, and they aren't experienced head coaches.
Right.
But he is. Right. So he is a 2-time Big Ten Coach of the Year, the last 2 seasons, actually, and done a great job with Maryland. So you get that young, energy guy who can recruit, but you also get the younger. I mean, you also get the experienced coach, and I think that's going to be that's a cool thing. However, I've been talking to SEC coaches for 25, 30, almost 30 years now, and they all mentioned I thought I knew what I was getting into when I came into the SEC, but I didn't. Everything moves faster. There's more demands on your time. There's so many other obligations, and that's going to be the adjustment for him. And I think that's why it was so important that they have that continuity, keeping JJ on the staff, because he's done some of that. He's certainly familiar with Alabama, the SEC gauntlet, so to speak, and then also all those other things. He had to do some of that. So I do think that was a really good decision by both Vaughn and the administration to make sure that they didn't lose JJ, because he definitely had some options.
He did, and I think it's almost what you made a great point, that Greg Byrne was almost working on the latter part, like, of course, vetting Rob Vaughn, and would you be comfortable with retaining Jason Jackson, and that they were working on that more so than even hiring JJ as head coach, but they wanted to make sure they could retain him.
Yeah, it sure looks that way, and JJ did such an incredible job.
Oh, yes.
He went from a guy, when he became the interim coach, he was sort of in the background, unknown. He's not somebody who's really out trying to publicize himself, and he impressed so many of us with one, his obviously how the team performed, but two, just his authenticity and the way he handled that situation. I could not be more impressed with the way he handled a difficult situation and came out with everyone feeling better about the situation. And that, I can't overstate how difficult that can be and how that could have gone the other direction. And it's great to see him rewarded for that.
No doubt. Well, great stuff. Enjoy the College World Series, and I know, as you said, 5 guys from D1Baseball.com on the scene. You will be, of course, following it closely. Let everybody know about D1Baseball.com, the best in the business.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Even though the season will end soon, it certainly won't for us. So we'll continue to follow all the coaching changes, transfer portal information, all of the summer ball stuff. We have some off-season projects that we're working on, kind of big picture things like how to improve the RPI. How about that one? Things like that we're going to work on, while the games pause for a little while. But it'll be all at D1Baseball.com.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Take care, guys.
Let's get our final break in. We're going to wrap it up with your tomorrow's headlines next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like we're going to wrap it up this morning in pretty good shape. Haven't picked up anything new accident-wise. Looks like most everybody's going to be in close to on time. Got a few last-minute stragglers to watch out for. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Pronto on the move, pitch on the way. This is stroked high in the air, deep right center field. Here comes some smoke. Wow! 2-0 Atlanta.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Here are tomorrow's headlines today. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, through a private ring ceremony last night, got their Super Bowl championship rings, kind of like the ones you wear on your hands.
Yeah.
613 diamonds, 609 round diamonds,
What
four
are
marquee
those numbers
diamonds, and 35
There's always
rubies.
something behind it. What's the 609 and the 613? I mean, there's got to be something
The
behind it.
team's logo is with 16 rubies representing the number of division titles for the franchise.
Gotcha.
50 diamonds on the Arrowhead portion of the team's logo representing the 50th anniversary of Arrowhead Stadium. 3 Lombardi trophies, each set with a Marquise diamond at the top representing the team's 3rd Super Bowl championship. 16 Baguette diamonds representing the 16 players who scored a touchdown in the 2022 regular season. A red backdrop created from the 19 rubies and 38 diamonds. The Chiefs scored 38 points in the Super Bowl, which was the 57th. And 54 diamonds along the top, representing the deficit in terms of total points the Chiefs had to overcome in their 2 most recent Super Bowl championship playoff runs. And each player's name is in gold with a row of 13 diamonds. So there you go. Kansas City Chiefs get their Super Bowl ring, and of course,
Ramsey
Robinson getting that ring to put on his finger. By the way, when you were gone, he visited the White House. And he was going to join us the day after he visited the White House. But he gave me the wrong number and then realized it after we had missed him and sent me the right number. So now I've got Ramsey's right number, and we'll see if we
his
can
number's
get
changed.
him. Yeah. And we will see if we can
Move
get
it on
him.
up.
We'll see if we can get him on the show.
That was probably when I was basketballing, right?
It was when you were basketballing, yes.
Yes.
Auburn lands a 4-star linebacker, Joseph Phillips.
Yep, they've been busy this week. We're going to talk to Cole Pinkston on the recruiting blitz next here on Blitz Sports Radio because Auburn's had a big week.
All right, 256-576-4977. You want to get in on the show, you got a minute or so to do so. Not even that. Kentucky, Kroger Field, they're going to allow them to sell beer this year for the football games.
Calipari better stay away. They're going to be trying to pour it on him.
Oh, no.
Being cruel.
No. He's in one of the most safest spots.
He should be. I mean, I don't think he should be in any danger. I mean, give me a break. All this, he hadn't won a championship since 12. And
maybe
stuff
Matt
like
Hayes
that.
can write about that.
He won't.
Kentucky has the.
He's too busy trying to find out when somebody from Alabama goes to the bathroom.
8th best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
We don't even know who it is, though.
He hopes. And yet they'd still beat Florida by 30. Hell, they took Florida's best shot in the swamp and still won. Played an awful second half. Pete did the Pete. You know, now that's why he's in Oxford, Mississippi, thank the Lord. Hey, but he doesn't get to play Alabama in 24, so he gets to avoid getting his ass beat.
2 years in a row.
Well, no,
they're going to play him this year because they're going to get Ole Miss this year.
They're going to play him. They're going to play him, but you know, then he gets some time off. Wild turkey there.
We're going to take some time off. We'll be back at it Monday morning.
Everybody have a great weekend.
I shall. Happy Father's Day to all
Happy
the fathers
Father's Day
out
to
there.
everybody out there. That's a good point,
on
Scott.
Sunday.
Maybe
enjoy it.
All right.
This is an Alabama legacy moment.
Former basketball player and Hall of Famer Charles Barkley